What happens when the NFT market collapses? This is a really serious video. We're going to go into detail of not only when, but if, and if and but when, because this is a new world. And a lot of you, you're not technically inclined, you're not doing your transfers. I don't know how many people, really smart people, have lost money. NFTs have just disappeared. You need to be cautious about your investments. Let's begin. So welcome back. We are in 3 of the 4 series of NFTs and just learning about them and getting a new perspective. I have Simon Young with me today, and we have been talking about what are NFTs. We talk about utility, the staking, the smart contracts. Very exciting. If you've missed them, go up to the search bar, put in Simon Young, put in our NFT conversation, and they'll all pop back up. We need you binge watching and learning about this. So Simon, welcome back, first of all.
Hello. Yeah, good to see you again.
Let's talk through the technology of this. You mentioned earlier, and I know Discord is an active place, but that's not the only place. Let's talk about the technology, the platforms, and really the real ones. And I will point later in our interview to the scams, because there are a lot of people who are putting money in and it's just gone. So let's talk about where they really need to be. Where are the real platforms, the real communities?
Personally, I like Twitter. Twitter's awesome for NFTs. There's loads of information on there. Some really good Telegram groups, Discord as well. But like you say, you have to be very careful who you're listening to, because probably 95% of everything out there, may even be more, is all hidden agenda. People with their own agenda to sell their own NFT. It's pretty easy to spot, though, now what is good and what's not, because they will have active communities. They will have people that are doxed behind them. So one of my biggest issue is a lot of the projects that are out there, they're not showing their face. You know, a lot of reasons people, especially in the US with the SEC, I get talked to that on a daily basis. You know, I had somebody calling me out on Twitter because I mentioned a project that is taking money, and it is a fund that it's not authorized as a security. And all of this will come out over the next however long you want to say. It might be a year, it might be 5 years. We might still be talking about it by the time I'm dead and buried. But it's interesting to see how some of these projects do market themselves, and it is community based. So it is all about people getting together.
And so when you said that there's no face behind it, dig into that a little bit, because you touched on a place. Obviously, I teach a lot on alternative investments and the IRS and the SEC. Talk about, just dig into that a little more about who are the people behind it, and do you have to register with the IRS, the SEC? How is it taxed?
I'm not qualified to answer the question in the US. In the UK, they've just changed the law that supposedly you're supposed to pay tax unrealized gains, which I don't know how you work that one out. Do you time it by the minute, the day you pay your tax? I don't know, but who knows how that'll come out in the wash. There was a case, I think about 7 or 8 years ago now in the UK, where a guy made several £1 million on Bitcoin, and it got taken to court, and it was judged that it was a gamble, that it was a bet. So he got away with the tax, right? They've completely changed their stance on that now, obviously. But when you're looking into these projects, yes, we could buy a piece of art, right? And that's what most people think they're buying nowadays. And it may be by a famous artist, which is fine. If you took Banksy in the UK, some of his art sells for tens of millions of dollars. He's never done an NFT series. If he's listening, I would love to talk to him, because he doesn't need the money. I have been 1 degree of separation from him. That's and awesome. Do know who he is. Like, nobody knows who he is, but I know who he is, right? But anyway, don't come and ask me, because I'm not telling. But to find out behind the projects, it's not hard. Like, do your research. And in everything in crypto and DeFi, it is always do your research. So when somebody says something's amazing, well, why? You know, you wouldn't go and invest in somebody's business unless you went and found out about the founders, what their vision was, have they failed before, and have they done it probably several times. Like I've had failed businesses, and if somebody looked at my history, they would probably say, well, this went wrong or that went. Yeah, I'm somebody who wants to make things happen, and I genuinely do make things happen. We all make mistakes, right? But if you can go and look into a project, find out who the founders are, what their vision is, and now really what is the utility. So if we're talking NFTs, what is it going to give you? And what is it potentially worth in the future? You know, if somebody said to you now, here's a ticket that entitles you to go to every Super Bowl every year, what would you pay for it? Like forever? What is that? Who put a number on that? People could pay millions for that, but the utility is amazing. So you got to obviously be careful how you write the smart contract, because you could end up giving away more than you could afford. But it depends on the, you know, if you're going to take that cash in now, what can you do with that? You can grow your community, you can take your business to the next level. So all of these things are possible.
So when people are buying in, let's talk about to NFTs, do they have to buy with digital cryptocurrency, or can they just use through one of the outlets, I'll call them, I won't name them, but can they use just a MasterCard, Visa to get in for the first buy?
This is like where we are now is incredible. You can do almost anything. So typically it's Ether, or so if you go to the bigger marketplaces like OpenSea, it would be ETH. I mean, you've got quite a lot of gas fees. You've got Solana is really popular now. So Solana is a big play. Loads of people talking about Solana becoming bigger than ETH and OpenSea, and becoming the next really big thing in NFT. Not financial advice, right? Let's just stress that at this point. So, and again, go back, do your research, make your own decisions. And one of the things I've told a lot of people about crypto, any decision you make falls on you. So you remember, like if you go and talk to 50 people and they're all saying this, do this, buy that, ultimately, we all know the minute you press the button and spend your money, that decision lies with you. So don't go crying, you know, you spent the money, you live and die by your own sword, so to speak. But talking about whether you can pay fiat, yes, you can. We've just put a project together, which is in the Infiniverse, which is the metaverse project on Oculus. If you go onto there, and it's super new, it's only been around for it started beta in December, launched on the 7th of January. You can go in there and you can buy Metacoin, not a cryptocurrency. It's a digital asset, right? Not a currency that you can trade against other cryptos, but you can then use that to buy property in the Infiniverse, which could end up as Facebook's version of the metaverse. Who knows? Again, not financial advice, but I know for a fact that those properties within the Infiniverse will become NFTs. Mm-hmm. They're not tradable at the moment.
Right.
But when I was talking to the devs at Oculus, those properties, there's penthouses obviously at the top of these skyscrapers. And the guy said to me, these will have greater utility than the other apartments in the block. Now, read into that what you will, but will they become tradable against cryptocurrency? Who knows? Possibly, right? But those assets, if you look at things like Decentraland, don't know whether you go into the metaverse yourself at all much, but properties in there, somebody paid $2.6 million for a 2 meter square plot not so long back.
Yep.
So
I know
what are they going to do with that? They're just going to advertise.
I'm in that group, the metaverse group, with the gentleman who did that.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Crazy though.
Come back and talk about where this is going. Before we leave though, just 1 minute on, you say, do your research. How do people do their research? Given there's so much information, and how do they validate it's real? What are a few tips on that?
So finding out people are real is quite a good one. You know, before you get catfished into a project that people are telling you is amazing. Community, seeing how the conversations are going, are they real? You know, because you will see bots or you'll see community moderators keeping conversations going. What you want to see is natural, proper conversation going on in groups. But look at the leaders of the groups. You know, I use things as simple as LinkedIn. You know, I'll go and find somebody on LinkedIn, see that they've got an actual job, they actually exist, what's their background, look at the other businesses that they're running, you know, what do they do, who do they know, look at their networks. Can be as simple as that. Yeah.
Good. That's very helpful. All right. Those of you listening, if you are enjoying, again, click the subscription button, clearly hit the notifications. We're out here 5 days a week talking about everything money that you want to talk about. Today, we're just wrapping up 3 of a 4-part series on NFTs. So stay tuned for part 4. So before we get to the end, I want you to subscribe to my channel. I want you to click on the link, hit the notification button. And if you want more information, you got to put it in the comments, because the comments inform me on what videos to come. Before we end today, I can tell you, you need to stay on our list. We will be continuing conversations and education. We're actually going to be even launching a few NFTs. So I want you to stay tuned, stay with us. And to get started, if you're really serious about, like committed about a conversation, click on the link below, fill out the application, have a one-on-one conversation with our team on how we can help you get the education, stay away from the scams, and make a lot of money. We'll talk tomorrow.